Chandler from Mr. Beast videos suffers from a genetic eye condition called a chromatopsia that only allows him to see the world in shades of white, black, and gray. It's a rare form of color blindness where all three cone types are completely absent from the eye, resulting in the inability to perceive any colors whatsoever. Scottish guitarist Les Harvey, known for performing with multiple rock bands throughout the 60s and 70s, narrowly escaped death in a fatal car crash in 1965, only to be fatally electrocuted on stage in 1972 after touching an ungrounded microphone. This gravestone is shared by twin sisters Emily and Minnie Dodsworth. Emily lived for just 2 days while Minnie lived for over 100 years. 5 days before her wedding in September of 2009, Yale medical student Annie Lee suddenly went missing in the basement of a Yale laboratory. On the actual day she was supposed to get married, her body was found hanging upside down inside a wall cavity in the building. Her murderer, a lab technician who worked in the building, was eventually caught and sentenced to 44 years in prison. After his phone was stolen in 2020, 16-year-old Kevin Bui set a Denver house on fire that he mistakenly thought was the thief's home. The blaze tragically killed 5 members of an innocent family, including 2 young kids. Bui was tried as an adult and sentenced to 60 years in prison. After suffering a stroke in 2010, UK woman Sarah Colwell started speaking with a Chinese accent despite never even visiting China. No matter how hard she tries, Sarah can't return to her normal voice. She became one of less than 100 people to ever be diagnosed with foreign accent syndrome, a rare neurological condition caused by damage to the speech part of the brain. Ben Wolf, who played Infantata and Meep in American Horror Story, tragically died in 2015 at the age of 34. The 4'4" actor was crossing the street in Hollywood before he was struck in the head by a car mirror when the driver apparently didn't see him. Wolf was rushed to the nearest hospital before succumbing to a resulting stroke. This heartbreaking video shows a zoo bear still walking in circles 7 years after being freed from the small cage she was kept in for 2 decades. In July of 2023, 57-year-old Barry Griffiths suddenly died after accidentally stabbing himself in the stomach while trying to separate 2 burger patties that were frozen. In 2002, 15-year-old Kara Robinson was kidnapped by serial killer Richard Ivanitz and subjected to 18 hours of abuse. But she managed to escape after manipulating Ivanitz to feel at ease and memorize the details of her surroundings before running off. Robinson was then able to give police a detailed description of the home, which allowed them to bring the serial killer to justice. Dirty facts about history that they'll never teach you in school. According to David Bowie's ex-wife Angela, she once walked in on David and Mick Jagger naked in bed together after a long night of partying. Angela took it as clear evidence of a sexual encounter, though neither Bowie nor Jagger ever confirmed it. Jagger dismissed the rumor as rubbish, while Bowie avoided commenting on it altogether. In the late 1800s, long before the invention of discrete vibrators, early models were massive mechanical contraptions powered by steam, hand cranks, or foot pedals. These devices were used by doctors to treat what was then diagnosed as female hysteria, a vague and outdated condition believed to cause anxiety, irritability, and sexual frustration. Rock Bitch, a provocative all-women British rock band infamous for their wildly sexualized live shows, had a notorious ritual during their concerts. They'd hurl a golden condom into the crowd, and whoever caught it, regardless of gender, was chosen to join them backstage for a night of uninhibited sexual escapades with the band. A 2003 study found that roughly 1 in 200 men globally share a nearly identical Y chromosome, all tracing back to one common male ancestor who lived about 800 years ago in the Mongol Empire region. The researchers linked this genetic legacy to Genghis Khan, giving the timing, geography, and his notorious reputation for spreading his seed like wildfire across his vast empire. Benjamin Franklin reportedly had a big thing for GILFs. He once wrote a long, detailed letter to his friend telling him all the benefits of having an older woman as a mistress. His reasons included they are more thankful for the attention, they're more adventurous than younger women, they are experienced and need not be trained. He was also very clear that the face ages, but the downstairs does not. 1993, Ron Jeremy played Mario in a corno that parodied the video game franchise. It's called Super Hornio Brothers, and Nintendo owns all the rights. In 2014, comedian Tracy Morgan was critically injured in a car crash on the New Jersey Turnpike when a Walmart tractor trailer suddenly slammed into his limo van. The collision killed his close friend and fellow comedian James McNair and left Morgan with a broken femur, broken ribs, broken nose, and a traumatic brain injury. Doctors initially feared he might not survive, and he remained in a coma for over a week. The truck driver had reportedly been awake for more than 24 hours, prompting Morgan to sue Walmart for negligence. The company ultimately settled the lawsuit outside of court, and Tracy has publicly forgiven the driver. In 1980, a man named John Burgess, who had lost over $750,000 while gambling, attempted to extort money from Harvey's Resort Hotel in Nevada by planting one of the most sophisticated homemade bombs the FBI had ever seen. Disguised as a copy machine and weighing over 1,000 pounds, the device was placed on the second floor of the casino along with a ransom note demanding $3 million. The FBI evacuated the building and spent hours trying to disarm the bomb, but when they attempted to disable it using a controlled charge, the entire device detonated. The explosion damaged much of the building and caused over $18 million in damage, but miraculously no one was killed. Burgess was later arrested, convicted, and died while in prison. While filming Black Panther and other Marvel movies, Chadwick Boseman was secretly undergoing intensive treatment for stage 3 colon cancer, enduring surgeries and constant chemotherapy between shoots. Even most of the cast and crew had no idea that Chadwick was sick. He kept his diagnosis completely private, sharing it only with a small circle of family, his producing partner, and a few close confidants. Despite the pain and exhaustion, Boseman still continued to visit children with cancer at St. Jude's Hospital. Many of the kids he visited passed away before Chadwick did, never knowing that their hero was also fighting the same battle. In November of 1990, Life magazine published this haunting photo of AIDS activist David Kirby on his deathbed, surrounded by his grieving family in an Ohio hospital. Captured by photographer Therese Frere, the image became known as the photo that changed the face of AIDS. It humanized the epidemic at a time when stigma and fear were rampant, showing the devastating personal toll of the disease. With his family's consent, the photo was shared globally, sparking empathy, outrage, and awareness, ultimately helping to shift the public perception of AIDS. In 1997, the Cat in the Hat Thanksgiving Day Parade float careened out of control due to high winds, knocking a lamppost into the head of Kathleen Carana, putting her in a month-long coma. She sued Macy's in the city for $395 million and ended up settling for an undisclosed amount in 2001. Kathleen eventually purchased a nice New York City apartment with the settlement money, but just 5 years later, Yankees pitcher Corey Lidle crashed his plane into her building and the engine ended up in her bedroom. Luckily, the crash happened just minutes before Kathleen was due to arrive home, but Lidle and his flight instructor were both killed while 21 others in the building were injured. Adding to the weirdness of this story, the flight instructor's friend was also supposed to be on this flight but got stuck in traffic and told them to leave without him. So he managed to escape death until just 1 month later when he was killed in a separate plane crash. In 2020, Canadian actor Ryan Grantham, known for his roles in Riverdale and Diary of a Wimpy Kid, shot and killed his 64-year-old mother while she was playing piano in their home, then filmed the aftermath on a GoPro. Grantham then packed his car with guns, ammunition, Molotov cocktails, and a map to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's residence, allegedly planning to assassinate him. But instead, he drove to a police station and turned himself in. During the trial, it was revealed that Grantham was suffering from severe depression in prison with a possibility of parole in 14 years. In 1988, expert skydiver Ivan McGuire boarded a plane in North Carolina to film a routine jump from 10,000 feet. With over 800 jumps under his belt, he was calm, confident, and fully focused on capturing the perfect footage. His helmet camera recorded everything, his smooth exit from the plane, the free fall, and the other jumpers floating below. But partway through the descent, McGuire began frantically patting his back, expressing confusion that quickly turned to panic. Just seconds before impact, his voice can be heard yelling, "Oh my God, no!" He was apparently so focused on filming that he had jumped without a parachute. In 2019, Daniela Lace left a Marilyn Manson concert in Ontario while heavily intoxicated and drove the wrong way down a residential street, crashing into a home and rupturing a gas line. 15 minutes later, the house exploded, destroying 4 homes, injuring 7 people including first responders, and causing an estimated $10 to $15 million in damage. Lace was sentenced to 3 years in prison after pleading guilty to impaired driving causing bodily harm. In a bizarre twist, she and her father later sued the concert venue's alcohol vendor, claiming they were responsible for overseeing her and allowing her to drive drunk. The Bodies exhibit, which displays real human cadavers preserved through plastination, has long been shrouded in controversy due to allegations that many of the bodies were sourced from Chinese prisons without consent. Human rights groups believe that some of the corpses may belong to executed prisoners or political dissidents, including members of persecuted groups like Falun Gong. In 2008, the exhibit's parent company was forced to admit that it couldn't verify the origins of the bodies, posting a disclaimer that some remains may have come from Chinese prisoners. Visitors may unknowingly be viewing the dissected bodies of people who died under horrific conditions. Florence Lawrence, often called the first movie star, rose to fame in the early 1900s and became one of the first film actors to be publicly credited by name. At the height of her career, she suffered a devastating injury in 1915 when a staged fire spiraled out of control, leaving her with severe burns and a fractured spine. Universal Studios refused to pay her medical bills, and her career never recovered. Over the years, she faded into obscurity, taking uncredited roles and struggling with chronic pain and depression. When she died in 1938, she was buried in an unmarked grave, as Hollywood had all but forgotten the woman who helped define it.